All right. It is indeed a very, very good morning to you. Thank you so much for joining us for this edition of The Tackle. It is the 23rd of November 2022, tarehe 23 mwezi wa 11 mwaka 2022. Natumai kwamba uko salama na umeweza kuanza siku yako vema zaidi. Kama kawaida, please when you join in, like when you like, we get to know that you're watching us, and I really like share. When you share, you give someone else an opportunity to watch the broadcast. When you join in, please like when you like, we get to know that you're watching us, and I like please share. When you share, you give someone else an opportunity to watch the broadcast. We apologize for coming in late. This morning we're 30 minutes late. We apologize for that. We do better on tomorrow, on Friday. All right, this is the Siasa Wednesday edition of the 23rd of November 2022. And it begins right now. Tukona Jeffers BIGAMBO. He was here last week. We were having a conversation last week. And he's back here with us again this morning. Now tukona Mwalimu Peter AMUNGA Akalanyakanga. Hey. I don't know which human being, which lawyer sat down and decided now they're going to start with Akalanyakanga. All right, it'll be interesting to know what that means. All right. Kama kawaida lazima tuende mbele za Mungu tuombe, halafu tukirudi na kuja kuona nani ameweza kuamka. JAVAS, kijana Bishop, utatuombea? I see you already in the spirit.
Father Almighty, we thank you for this day and this moment, for the grace of life, the blessing of which we are most thankful. For the deliberations that we are to have this morning, we pray for guidance and leadership in it and depth in it as well. For this country of ours, under the new administration, we pray for wisdom upon the leaders. We pray for the harmony of the nation and the progress that we all desire. And for the rains that have come, we pray that, oh Lord God, they may nourish our fields, wet our lands for productivity in the city and in the hamlets. We thank you and we praise your name. In Jesus' name I do pray and believe.
Amen.
Amen.
Asante. Thank you so much, Javas BIGAMBO. Good morning.
Good morning, Bito. How are you?
Salama.
Kabisa.
Yes. What's popping?
Well,
what's new in the week?
Nothing much except the heightening curiosity on the part of Kenyans about the new government policies, especially the great national discussion and interest on matters to do with the genetically modified commodities, and people getting to understand the direction that the William Ruto administration, together with his cabinet, is going to lead and direct the country, and what actually lies ahead for this great country that Kenya is and the region under the William Ruto administration.
Okay. Jana mambo iko. Peter AMUNGA, it's been a while. Kwanza tunaanza na nani alikaa chini akaamua akuita Akalanyakanga, na hii inamaanisha
Akalanyakanga is my name. In fact, it's a coincidence. JAVAS and
microphone kidogo isimame.
My microphone, eh?
Isimame hivi. Just
straight
like
this.
Very good.
Thank you. It's interesting. JAVAS and I, we share some history, even in the name Akalanyakanga, because JAVAS' dad, a great man, Professor BIGAMBO, taught me in high school and introduced me to drama at Mumias Boys High School. My name was Ahanyalava. Ahanyalava is a Luya name. My grandfather was called Ahanyalava. He was Umukarani, and he was the secretary to the chief. And Ohunyalava was like scribbling. Ohunyalava. So Ahanyalava now was the drama part. In Luyaland, when I became a tough drama guru, they said, Ahanyalavandu. He who finishes people. And I can finish them on stage.
So it was an extension of your name.
Yes, and JAVAS' dad was my trainer of drama. So that's how I became Ahanyalavandu. So everybody started calling me Ahanyalavandu. And it's my name, it's my passport. It's on my passport.
You had to swear to David?
Yes.
What have you been up to?
Yes, it's been a great time.
It's been a while.
I was away because we were seeking votes for the Kenya Kwanza team. You know, the last time I think I was here was after the earthquake.
Yes.
We had something called the earthquake.
Yes.
There's a story told, I'm a storyteller. A story is told about a hen and a pig. They decided to give their master a good breakfast. The hen said, I will provide the eggs, the bacon, the omelette. And the pig said, I will supply the bacon. Sorry, the bacon is for the pig and the sausages.
The egg is for the hen.
The egg is for the hen.
I was wondering, uko
Now what
bacon,
happened?
uko
I don't want to
Western.
lose this story because it's a strong story. So the hen, the pig discovered for him to give good breakfast for the master, he had to lay down his life. For the hen, it was just a matter of laying an egg. But for the pig, it was a matter of laying down his life.
The pig has to die for the bacon to happen.
Had to die. Musalia Mudavadi in this story was the pig. He had to lay down his life for William Ruto to get anything that he got in Western Kenya. He has lost being a party leader. He's no longer the party leader of ANC. He lost so many MPs. He laid down his life literally for this government to be in place today. When I say this, my friends in Uda think I'm joking. I'm saying the truth. And I'm saying we laid down our lives, we lost so many things. For us to put bacon on the table called Uda.
But you have gained an office of the Prime Minister.
Without portfolio. And that is where our problem comes.
How do you mean without portfolio? You have an office. you have 4 state departments around you, under you. Or what is portfolio?
Portfolio means ministry, running a ministry, authority to incur expenditure. Those are the things that we call office. No prime minister has been without some kind of office. An office simply means somewhere. Right now, as I speak to you, we are operating from our own private offices back in Riverside, where we are saying 3 months into having won this election, we are still operating from our office at Riverside. Yes, the office at Kenya Railways is being renovated, we understand, but we are still at our private offices.
Okay. So the problem is the office.
No. The problem is, can we be given the respect? If we laid down our lives, we expect some very good repercussions, not for one individual. We expect, actually, the problem is not even Musalia. It is the whole team that worked with him. There's a feeling, there's a feeling amongst them that a lot, they are being left out. They are not part of this government. They are feeling, when the lists of PSS come out, ANC gets almost 0. When the list of cabinet came out, actually the only cabinet seat we got as ANC was for the prime minister. The rest of us, the rest of our people, those who fight, including my friend Cleophas Malala, who also laid down his life, got nothing. So those are the things that, those are the feel, the ish feeling amongst supporters of Musalia Mudavadi. Yeah.
So watu wa Mudavadi hawana furaha. Na Mudavadi mwenyewe akona furaha maana.
Tutaki kumuuliza huyo because we can't speak on his behalf. And he wouldn't want us to say anything about it. But the rest of us who know what sacrifice was all about, we are not happy. We feel bado maneno. We feel you're not being consulted enough. We had an agreement, a coalition agreement. And I wanted to come with it this morning, but I have it on soft copy, and I'll send to your readers.
Please send it to me now.
I'll send it to you after when you give
What
me
was the coalition
break.
agreement?
That coalition agreement said, we shall be given, ANC and Ford Kenya, once Kenya Kwanza forms government, they will be given 30% of jobs, of what, everything in government,
30%.
even if it's policemen, 30% from our region and from our people who came in with Musalia and Weta. But this 30%, we are not seeing it.
But if we given cabinet secretaries.
That's not 30%. In fact, it is not even 1%. We are talking about 30% of government. That's a very big thing. Somebody told you today you want to get 30% of your salary increment. I'm in the labor world. 30% of your salary increment is a whole world.
Okay.
So we are feeling that 30% is not there. And it was unconditional. Let me put it here, JAVAS. Maybe some people have never understood. That coalition agreement that we had as ANC in Kenya Kwanza and Ford Kenya, it was not conditional that there be 70%, you have to vote this for 70%. No, that was just an additional media. People like Bitok and his media groups that came up, and as our Azimio rivals who came up and said, they have been told they'll be given 30% if they deliver 70% of the vote. Nobody delivered 70%. Even Mount Kenya did not deliver 70% of the vote that was cast. That was an impossibility. Our agreement reads, when we form government, read that word, when we form government, ANC and Ford Kenya will get 30%.
How many percent of votes were you supposed to deliver?
We were not. There was no condition. Oh. I will put it on your wall. The coalition agreement.
Okay.
Chapter article number 21. It just reads when we form government. 30%.
When we form government.
Hakuna kitu ingine kama there'll be something else like give us this and give us that. Our only thing was to be present in Kenya Kwanza.
To show up.
Just dress up, wake up, and show up. And we woke up, we dressed up, and we showed up. We need our 30% on the table. Period.
JAVAS. Hey. Kumbe kazi si kuwinda. Kazi ni kugawana. Kazi ni kugawana nyama.
Well, of course,
what do you think?
What we are facing constantly in Kenya since the beginning of multi-party politics is the politics of shifting plates tectonic.
Okay.
The plate tectonics within politics keep on shifting and not by themselves because of the political undercurrents that are enabled by shifting political interests constantly. Now, as a matter of fact, and the gladness with which I join my good friend, celebrated Mwalimu AMUNGA Kanyelabandu, is that our understanding and my understanding of politics is that with the analogy of hunting, is that you cannot, in matters politics, with that allegory, get to be sure of having a particular piece of the hunt or the game that will be hunted after the kill has been made.
Okay.
Where I come from, we believe that for you to be sure of what part of the animal you will get upon being killed, you must negotiate that part before the animal is killed.
Earlier.
And I agree with Mwalimu Kanyelabandu that, yes, they negotiated. Now, question is, when they negotiated for various parts of the animal upon being skinned and killed and skinned, is that were they there during the slaughtering?
That is the big question.
Yes, were they there during the slaughtering? Yes, they identified the animal, they knew the animal, but during the ceremony of killing or slaughtering and the skinning, were they there? Or they appeared when the slaughtering and the partitioning has been done and a multitude of people have arrived already at the slaughtering scene, and others already are pushing and jostling for various parts. And then they say, because we said when this animal was born, that when it grows up, when it's killed, we'll need the steak, we'll need the sirloin, we'll need the offals.
So the big question is, at what point did you join the hunting?
I think the negotiation between, and with what Mwalimu Kanyelabandu is saying, the negotiation about the parts of the animal, such negotiation was done when the animal was born. Okay. As it was growing and feeding, yes, they were there.
Yes.
Yes, they witnessed the animal growing.
They had an earthquake.
Yes. And they saw even the animal, in fact, in its very succulent state, and they celebrated and even salivated. Question is, when the slaughtering was happening, were they at the scene of slaughtering? Because if at all they were the scene of the slaughtering, then they would have said that this part, in fact, by the time the skinning is being done, you hold the part that you negotiated for. So is it possible that ANC slept through the revolution of skinning the animal that they negotiated for? But beyond the blemishes that would come and the herring that would come with the issues of the skinning and the sharing of the parts of the animal that has been skinned, is it possible for us to have in this country, as a leading democracy on this continent, politics that are clean, honest, and where gentlemen and women commit and live to the true spirit of the word that they have spoken, for example, in the run-up to the elections? As a matter of fact, yes. What is even more intriguing and interesting from my bird's eye view is that after the formation of government, especially the constitution of the cabinet, I have listened to President William Ruto speak and engage on matters of turning the wheels of his administration. I have listened to Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua and listened to him well. And you can actually agree that of all the cabinet members, in the executive, and the president is part of it, and the deputy president is part of it, the president and the deputy are most outspoken on critical issues. Now, when it comes to sharing slots, the president's people and region have benefited a lot. Yes, the region of the Rift Valley, as well as the people that were directly connected with and to the president throughout the campaign period and even up to the election time. And we've seen Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua also ensuring that he sticks his chest out that his region, Mount Kenya, benefits. And in fact, any person will tell you that if there is a great benefit, person or region that has benefited from this government's allocation of opportunities, it is as well the Mount Kenya region. Others, of course, I'm sure, have complained and have even asked Honorable Musalia Mudavadi, Honorable Moses Wetangula, and possibly I'm sure that Mr. Mwalimu wa Kanyalabandu is aware of this, that people have been asking themselves, what is it in this government for the Western region?
Yes.
People are still asking, are concerned. Because, and what's even still intriguing is that just a few days ago, the Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua, trying to woo members of his region, especially those that were inclined or affiliated to Azimio, he has committed that by the close of this year, they will be part of the Kenya Kwanza government. That he will actually fish them. In fact, he's taken literally the gospel of Christ that go be the fishers of men. He's fishing all the Mount Kenya people from Azimio. And with that dedication and commitment, sadly, we have not seen Honorable Musalia Mudavadi, Honorable Moses Wetangula, determine and commit to fish everybody in the Western region to be part of the Kenya Kwanza administration. But beyond that, to make sure that they fight day and night, tooth and nail, and we check with whatever tool that they can afford or access to make sure that also they get the rightful 30% that is due to them as it was negotiated when the animal was born. That's where the weakness is. Another thing that, and I want to hope that my great friend, celebrated Mwalimu wa Kanyalabandu, will pursue this path and that approach possibly after this show and beyond, that Honorable Rigathi Gachagua is positioning himself as the political supremo of the Mount Kenya region. And he is not leaving any stone unturned. He's taking no prisoners. But curiously, one may even arrive at a sad conclusion that possibly Honorable Musalia Mudavadi seems contented with this position in government and is not venturing out to consolidate the entire Western region. There is that perception. Because we have seen Honorable Rigathi Gachagua moving up and down in the country and in central Kenya. But Honorable Musalia Mudavadi, I think, has been to Western region, I think, twice.
For the bishops.
Yes. But he has not gone there on the critical issues to do with the development or even Thanksgiving and further fishing of men of the Western region into the Kenya Kwanza government. So Honorable Musalia Mudavadi, the Prime Cabinet Secretary, should not sit on his laurels. In fact, in politics, at a position that Honorable Musalia Mudavadi is, he must not sleep, he must not wink. He must actually now just move with jet-like speed and ensure that the entire Western region is with him and behind him. He should not take a walk. There's no time for resting. Rigathi Gachagua is not resting. So, and in fact, with even the kind of by-elections that are happening in the Western region, even though, for example, it's in Bungoma County to fill the seat that was left by Honorable Moses Wetangula, Musalia Mudavadi should set foot in the Western region. He should set foot in Bungoma. He should go there, speak in Bungoma, campaign for Kenya Kwanza in Bungoma, go to entire Western region, and in fact, let me put it quite clearly, that even when Honorable Musalia Mudavadi, the great leader that he is, went for the function of Bishop Sulumeti, Honorable Musalia Mudavadi did not take keen interest to speak on matters agribusiness and economic revival in Western region. So Honorable Musalia Mudavadi actually has got a great opportunity right now as Prime Cabinet Secretary, though without portfolio as Honorable Kanyalabandu is putting it, to make sure that he does what he can to scale up economic and development opportunities and job opportunities for the people from Western region.
So how do you blame that? How do you blame Mudavadi not going out to do all that you think he should do on William Ruto? What part of the bargain was not kept?
I mean, I've heard it, and of course, evidently from Honorable Kanyalabandu here, that the 30% portion has not and was not honored. Now, it's not a blame. The government is still being constituted. But from the positions that have been allocated so far, from the words of Kanyalabandu, is that they have not received their 30% rightful share. So it's important that for him also to be taken seriously, Honorable Moses or Honorable Musalia Mudavadi should actually traverse the entire stage like the proverbial colossus. The entire Western region. Because when we went to the election, the entire Western region, all the 5 counties were not with Musalia Mudavadi. He had representation and influence and support. But this is the time for Honorable Musalia Mudavadi to have the entire Western region in the grasp of his hands.
And I just must add something. He has given it very well, a very good outlook that I had also not seen the perspective. But this is it. When William Ruto was announcing his cabinet, he said, from now on, these members of cabinet who are here today, they are no longer regional or they don't belong to any region. They are national leaders. They are now my cabinet. They are Kenyan. He used the word, now you are Kenyan. You don't belong to any region. You don't come from Mukambani or Uluya. And that is what I'm saying today. I'm saying that Musalia Mudavadi seems to have been put in a straitjacket. Okay. That now he is a minister, he's a cabinet minister. That's why he had to shelve.
Prime cabinet minister.
Prime cabinet secretary.
Yeah, you're not respecting the
yes.
properly.
Right honorable prime cabinet secretary, Musalia Mudavadi. Yes. Now he becomes that he's no longer a regional leader. He cannot talk on behalf of the Luhya. You see, even what my father truly did to anoint him as the Luhya spokesman is almost null and void right now. Because he has been told, as of today, and the Riot Act was read to him, seated right there at State House, you are a cabinet minister, this is how you are supposed to behave. And that left us in a tight corner. In fact, according to many of us who are Musalia Mudavadi supporters, we didn't see this coming. Yes, we know the Constitution says something about when you are a minister, you are not supposed to be doing all this kind of thing. But we saw people like Eugene Wamalwa. They were cabinet secretaries, but we saw them also doing some political work. We saw Mwangi Kiunjuri. We saw the minister for agriculture in the last cabinet. All these people are involved in some kind of politics. But here now we are being told, and the president is making it very clear and repeating, very repeatedly, that as from today, and it's like he's telling Musalia, hakuna kwenda huko mambo ya Uluhya.
Why do you think he's telling him?
Hakuna kwenda hivi. You are now a person of the country. And Musalia Mudavadi, the way me I've worked with him, I know him. This is a gentleman. This is a stickler of the rules, a follower, a great disciple. When he's told this is the way, and he has taken an oath that I am supposed to be a cabinet secretary, and this is what was expected of me.
Prime cabinet.
Don't expect the prime cabinet secretary to move around campaigning in like Halwale is doing in Bungoma. And that is what is eating us now. It's like now, with Musalia's hands tied, it's like we are feeling like, is there a vacuum? Is there going to be a vacuum in Western Province? Was this a trick by the president and the UDA administration to leave us at a crossroad that our hands are tied, we can't fight back, we can't regain our portion, we can't marshal our forces? That could be the thing that is going through. I'm not saying it's right, but I'm saying it's what's going through our minds.
Yes, it is true. But I think also Honorable Musalia Mudavadi could be miscalculating. That he is sticking to the 4 corners of the oath that he took on that page. It is possible, like for example, what the deputy president is doing. He is moving up and down, and issues that he's speaking to, yes, are policy issues, but also political issues. So Honorable Musalia Mudavadi should not fear to recruit and in fact commission foot soldiers People like Honorable Kanyalabandu here and many others. Honorable Musalia Mudavadi.
Kanyalabandu is already commissioned.
Yes, but you see, Honorable Musalia Mudavadi should not waste the foot soldiers that are available at his disposal. Secondly, he must push day and night, push the walls if possible, to get his people in government so that people can say, actually, when you are Prime Cabinet Secretary, we saw a number of people from Vihiga, a number of people from Kakamega, from Busia County, from Bungoma, from Trans Nzoia, being appointed in various government positions of high level. And so that is very important because the people of Western Kenya have never actually experienced eating the sirloin of the slaughter in government. They have never had the controls of government. And that's why I think the issue of the harmony and brotherhood and unity of Western Kenya has never actually materialized. The day the people of Western Kenya, in their numbers, because it's quite popular, the Western people are quite populous, the Luyas, if they will test serious governance, leadership, then actually they will know what it means, they will fight for it. The same way the Kalenjins always fight for it, the same way the Kikuyus always fight for it. I am not talking about tribal politics per se, but I'm talking about the regional appreciation of power and the utility of such government offices. Because I can assure you today, are people in central Kenya feeling that they are part and parcel of the William Ruto administration? Yes, they are. Not just because of Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua, but because of the numerous appointments that now they have received and the trickle-down effect of those appointments. In Western Kenya, that needs to be scaled up. But beyond the scaling up, it is important that, for example, right now, the issue of the revitalization of all the economic rivulets and wells, all of them, they must be revived, courtesy of the representation in government through the cabinet, Prime Cabinet Secretary. Now we have got even the Speaker of the National Assembly from there. Quite essential. Secondly, why I'm talking about miscalculation, I may not be in the know of what informed Honorable Musalia Mudavadi to cede the chairmanship, the leadership, the party leadership of his party to somebody from the coastal region. Yes. It may have been useful for him to get somebody that is also quite politically active, significant, and that is a pusher and a doer of things, coming from a region where the party will not die. While it may have been a calculation on the part of Musalia Mudavadi to cede the party leadership to Timami, maybe because he may have wanted to avoid the issue of a kind of technical coup by somebody who will properly use that party leadership position from Western Kenya and drive the party. And so giving it to somebody that may be appreciated as politically lukewarm from the lenses of national politics. But it is also possible that it could be a gradual path to the death of ANC and its significance. For example, in the parts of Western Kenya, unless Honorable Musalia Mudavadi gets to ensure that he supports various persons to keep the party vibrant. Because him being apolitical by way of being in cabinet, it will not make him politically firebrand as he has been in the Western region and even for the party. And so technically, if care is not taken, it may be the beginning of gradual decline of the ANC party in very many parts, especially Western Kenya.
Can I say something here? JAVAS is giving it very well. He is confirming our worst fears as members of the ANC and as supporters of Musalia Mudavadi. Because in our support for Musalia Mudavadi, we were not supporting him just because of being in cabinet, we were supporting because he is a party leader. He is a spokesman. He's a regional, not regional, he's an international respected person. Musalia Mudavadi has been in this country and in the Kenyan political scene for many years. Started at the age of 29 years. So he's not a person who can just, wish away and put in a straight jacket and tell him, you sit here and do this and this and this, and I'll give you two permanent secretaries from my area or from my region to take care of you, and your work is just to just attend some meetings here and there. We feel that is a short end of the bargain. We feel, and when you look at even the things that are going on, for example, a trip has just taken place the other day to the COP, the climate change, at COP7 in Cairo. We've just seen another trip taking place right now in DRC and now in Congo. And then we look at the list of people who are attending. These are the small things that matter. Small things, the Bible talks about the small foxes. They are very small things. But our people and who are majorly hustlers, are watching. And when you see that a list comes out of people even going for a trip, and you don't see anybody from this other region, you only see people with certain names on that list, there is cause for worry. There is cause to ask ourselves, so what are we doing in this government? What's our place? Who are we? When you discover, let me just finish JAVAS. When you discover, for example, that you have got a cabinet, you've been given a cabinet position, like Nyahumich, our person from Bungoma, or let's say Trans-Nzoia, but she's given the accounting officer is a person from the other side, And then we look at other cabinet positions, like, for example, when we start giving out things like now the chairman of the board of KRA is the UDA elections chairman, for that matter. Then we look around, and where is somebody from ANC? Where is somebody from Ford Kenya? And we are looking at all these right positions being given out. Ripe. I'm talking about right positions. You can be given to be in charge of Kenya Library Services. There's not very... our people in that...
The emerging question is, yes. Has Honorable Musalia Mudavadi politically sedated himself?
Because... Yes, that's a good question.
Because from the look of things, unless he sticks his chest out, unless he ventures out, unless he speaks out, and unless he's seen out there,
yes,
he will be appreciated as having been contented.
That's the question, and that is the fear we have. We as Musalia Mudavadi supporters and advisors, the problem we have right now is this: will our leader reach a place and they curtail his movements? Will they reach a place and make him be a person to sit in Nairobi, in the office in Nairobi? And that worries us. It makes us not even sleep. In fact, we are not sleeping.
There is another problem.
Yes.
Now, Honorable Musalia Mudavadi took oath of office, substantively in office right now. When you look at the executive order number 1 of 2022, that effectively reconstitutes the William Ruto administration or government.
Yes.
The mandate that has been allocated to the office of the Prime Cabinet Secretary, including matters of legislative coordination, policy, etc. Of course, some of them are mirrored in the responsibilities that are under the Deputy President, Honorable Rigathi Gachagua. Today, the reigning national debate on even matters GMO, we have not seen Honorable Musalia Mudavadi speak about it or convene even a sector meeting to deliberate on the status of legislation and policy regarding the issue of GMOs.
Although
he needs to come out.
I have good news for you today. Musalia has called a meeting of all Luya elected MPs this morning. Yes. Actually, from here, I'll be one of the hang-ons around the meeting. My work there is to listen and be sure that we are discussing. For example, we saw the president go to Kilifi the other day. Was it Kwale? And we saw him open this factory of this great man from India. Devki, yes. And we saw very good statements come out of it, like call from Kitui. We had all these things talk about. We are yet to see the white smoke in Nzoia. We are yet to hear the white smoke in Mumias. What we are seeing in Mumias and Nzoia, those are shenanigans. That was the reason why what we stood for when we were campaigning in Western Province. Our agricultural sector. And maize, as you put it just a few minutes ago, the GMOs are going to affect we from Western Kenya most, because we are the bread basket of Kenya. Kitale, the Kenya Seed Company is based in Kitale.
In fact, to say that Western Kenya is the bread basket is to underestimate the power and capacity of Western Kenya. Western Kenya is the maize granary,
Yes.
the bread granary,
The ugali basket.
yes, of production of maize, just as much as Rift Valley.
The portion.
Now, we have seen the passionate appeal on the part of Rift Valley
Rift Valley
MPs.
and
And that's my question, Javas. Is Mudavadi a little bit late in the party?
Well,
What did you say?
He's not late in the party.
course,
He
now.
has politically sedated himself.
No. Again, I'm not. Let me not agree with you on that one.
Because every voice has come out.
Musalia is a stickler to the rules.
Which
The
rules?
rule says you are the prime cabinet secretary. Even your office is not yet ready. You are yet to be given your office to start
There
speaking.
is a very great book.
But then again, you can activate your MPs.
There is a very great book.
Doesn't he have MPs?
He has MPs.
I am willing to buy a book
Yes,
and share
10
it
MPs.
with Honorable Musalia Mudavadi and Honorable AMUNGA Kanyalabandu. It's titled The Rules for Radicals.
I want that book.
That even if he is now within the four walls of a cabinet secretary, with the guidelines that they must not be seriously political, the rules for radicals demand that a radical must not always sit under. Like even it is analogously given in scripture that there is no way you can light a lamp and put it beneath the table.
Yes.
The lamp must always be on the table to illuminate and light up the room. The room of economic liberation of the people of Western can only be seen through the lamp that is Musalia Mudavadi and
Moses
Masika Wetangula, because of the positions that they hold today at the national level. Those positions are not for their personal satisfaction. And that is why it would continue to concern every farmer from the Western region that Honorable Moses Wetangula and Honorable Musalia Mudavadi have not spoken seriously on the issue of the defense of Western Kenya farmers, the maize farmers. And remember that with the issue of the GMO, it will not just affect maize farming alone. It will affect many other things. The other concern is the policy perspectives to all this. For example, when you look at the Biosafety Act, 2009, it provides that upon importation of every or any GMO product or material, it is supposed to be at the port for a period of between 90 days to 150 days so that the National Biosafety Authority can do a risk assessment and the suitability assessment of all the products before they are accepted and released into the market. Remember that we have got various policies already that have been enacted by the National Biosafety Authority. For example, we have got the Environmental Release Regulations 2011. We have got the Import and Commercialization and Transportation Regulations 2011. We have got the Labeling Regulations 2012 by the NBA. We need to have active national participation and discussion about the consequential effect of these regulations on GMO by the National Biosafety Authority as a matter that is securely protected by the Cartagena Protocol of 1993 that was ratified by Kenya in 2003 under the Mwai Kibaki administration. Remember that Article 2, Sub-Article 6 of the Constitution of Kenya provides that any kind of treaty or convention that has been ratified by Kenya forms part of the laws of Kenya. There is that national concern about the consequential effect of accepting the GMOs in this country. I appreciate, as a matter of fact, as a governance expert, that with every change of government, there is the change of policies that come with that administration. Here's the issue of the GMOs, for example. Now, remember that in Kenya, agriculture accounts for 20% of the GDP. Now, with this new policy of GMO, it is going to affect agribusiness and agricultural production in this country and in the region. Appreciate that Kenya is a constituent member of the East African community. Kenya trades with Tanzania, with Rwanda, with Uganda, with the DRC, with South Sudan, with Burundi. And with this exchange, trade of commodities and various products, to what extent are we going to have some of our products rejected by our neighbors because of embracing the genetically modified commodities policy? Remember that on the African continent, now it's only Kenya and South Africa that have embraced the GMO policy. When you go to countries like Algeria and Egypt, they have got very restrictive legislation and policies on matters GMO. For example, even in Egypt itself, where the COP27 meeting was held in Sharm el-Sheikh, even production or commercialization of matters or commodities to do that are genetically modified are frowned upon. When you go to countries like New Zealand, there is nothing like GMO that is permitted. When you go to the Americas, in fact, countries such as Brazil and even Mexico do not fully embrace the GMOs. It is America that I think has got the highest hectareage in terms of production and utility of land for producing GMO products or foods. In the entire world, America leads, then followed by Europe, then we've got China, etc. In Africa, South Africa leads with the number of hectares that are used for production of genetically modified products or plantation, etc., and even the commercialization of the same. Kenya should try to look at the consequential effect of this in terms of trade, and that is why, to every Kenyan, it remains very interesting and curious that it is the CS for Trade, Honorable Moses Kuria, that has pronounced himself on matters of genetically modified products, especially maize. But the CS for Agriculture has not spoken on record on this matter. The CS for Health has not spoken authoritatively on this matter. Yet these ministries, and even the CS for Cooperatives,
and even KEMRI itself, which is a government body.
Now those are agencies.
Body.
For example, when you look at the constituting act of the National Biosafety Authority, the board membership of the NBA constitutes of key scientists and key players within the science sector in this country, including, for example, KEFIS, even KEMRI. They're supposed to speak to these issues. The KEBS has not spoken critically on this issue because there's a matter of standardization. Because when you look and examine the regulations 2012 on the labeling of GMO products in this country for commercial purposes, the great concern is this: to what extent will we have unscrupulous traders who will be crafty with the packaging and labeling of these products for the rational determination of end users who are the consumers? Remember too that Article 46 of the Constitution provides for consumer protection in this country. We have got the Consumer Protection Act which is not working. That is the question. And that is why we need to have a national discussion and platform to discuss the legislative and policy implication and status. And that's why I even earlier pointed to the office of the Honorable Musalia Mudavadi to converge beyond political interests, greater legislative and policy concerns concerning genetically modified commodities.
You know what I need to point out is that there's something called collective responsibility amongst the cabinet. And Musalia Mudavadi is the head, the supervisor of the cabinet. Now, when they come up with a cabinet decision, this issue of GMOs was a cabinet decision. It means Musalia Mudavadi's hands on this matter again are tied. He can't call a meeting to start discussing what he in cabinet sat and agreed and signed and passed.
That you should tell us why he passed.
And that's what now, no. Let me say something here.
Supervisor.
So, and that is where people like me now get worried. Because did William Ruto play us? Did he curtail us? Did he see further than us and put us in some situation room, some jacket, whereby we can't talk? We are like in some classroom, some prison. In fact, personally, since this thing started, I'm not comfortable. In fact, not just me, but most of us in ends, we are not comfortable. We can't sleep.
Let me ask you, Mwalimu.
You go to our WhatsApp groups, let me tell you.
Mwalimu.
You go to our WhatsApp groups, our people don't sleep. Every day they're asking questions, and because our party leader or our former party leader is also in those groups, he reads them and he's seeing our concerns, because what you are raising are genuine concerns.
Let me ask you
among Kenyans and among everyone else. But the Prime Cabinet Secretary is bound by the fact that he has got something called collective responsibility. He cannot talk. He can't call AMUNGA to Karen in his house and said, telling me, Amunga, organize a meeting and let us now tell the president off about this issue of GMOs. He can't.
It's not actually about telling the president off.
No, but the thing
is actually for him coordinating about public concerns to do with the legislative status and the policy status.
That's what I'm saying. Because let's look at this. Let's look at this scenario, taking it back to 2011 when the time of Nusumkeka between Kibaki and Raila Odinga. There is a footage that has come out of Raila Odinga defending government position in parliament about the GMOs.
Yes.
They're speaking that we are supporting the importation of GMOs for these, cannot stop science and all those things. There's been a conversation on that he's speaking. Now, when Amunga tells us that a supervisor of the cabinet, who is the prime cabinet secretary, cannot speak on the position of the cabinet, then what is he saying?
He cannot.
Then he should say it's either he agrees or disagrees. And there is a government position or there is his position. And he is free to speak.
Very good.
What is stopping him from
position now
the government
is
position?
the government position.
What is his position?
His position is government position. Whatever he aired in their cabinet meeting,
what is his position?
His position, he supports GMOs, obviously.
He supports GMOs.
He will have to support them because this is government position. And in fact, when I was coming here, some of the talking points I was given from some of people in his office were, GMOs, we have been with GMOs all this time. GMOs are not the first time. And let me say it, BIGAMBO.
But you've run away from the talking points.
No. Yes, the talking points are being sent. I can see them on my phone here. They include that GMOs are not bad. We want to talk to our people to accept GMOs. I'm being told that. Let's tell them that even the chicken we eat is GMOs. Even this hybrid maize that we see, some of it is just GMOs. That's what I'm being told, by the way. And by the way, there's some truth in it. JAVAS, we can't run away from this. That GMOs actually have been with us. We have been participating in GMO. Some of the fruits we eat on the streets of Nairobi, these nice oranges, they are actually part of GMOs. They have been either, genetically modified. So the issue that we as Kenyans should discuss, to what extent of GMOs are we allowing? But in terms of GMOs, hata unasikia kuku kienyeji na kuku broiler, hizi kuku ambayo sio kienyeji means ni kuku GMO. So we are, as Kenyans.
Now you're getting back to the talking points.
No, yes, my talking points. Let me now talk. No, I have to finish my talking points. Because finally I've drawn a salary. So the point is this, and I think this is the Prime Minister's position on the GMO issue, that at the end of the day, we as a country cannot run away from science. Our president is actually a person who has studied up to PhD level issues to do with this genetics and modification. What we are talking about GMO, we saw a very renowned leader in the technology world, Bill Gates, visit us the other day at State House. I don't think they were just taking a cup of tea. Some of the issues we are talking about is actually the issue of GMOs. GMOs are here with us. Kenyans, we can't run away from them, and especially with the issues of climate change that are affecting us. We must think outside the box. How are we going to feed our people? The issue now is not even, as Moses Kuria put it, there comes a time that you have to realize this. Death is coming either way. Death must come. But should we die when we are hungry, or can we die in a better manner?
And even before I give it to you, I hope they have also sent you talking points on the position of the Prime Minister within government. Is he still an update?
Now, to some extent, I acquiesce with Mr. Kanyalabandu on the issue of the presence of GMO products in this country. Now, as a matter of fact, it is from 1980 that the issue of the elevation of the place of science and technology in our production started gaining prominence and traction in Kenya's government. Remember that it's in the 1980s that we had the formation of the National Council on Science and Technology. And it's that Science and Technology Council that, in fact, gave the foundation of that council as an authority on matters of biotechnology in this country. That is what later on led to the issue of the institutionalization and the legislation of matters biotechnology. But you see, the embrace and the pursuit of food security in Kenya must not put us on the cliff of health insecurity. Because some of the GMO or GMCs the genetically modified commodities, have carcinogenic consequences in the absence of regulation, and standardization. And that is why the greater call is on the other existing institutions, such as KEFI, such as KEBS, such as NBA, etc., KWS, all of them, to come at the table and discuss with Kenyans. Because remember that matters public security constitute, and as well as transparency, constitute part of the values of good governance in Kenya as domiciled in Article 10, Sub-Article 2 of the Constitution of Kenya. Yes, in this country we have got Monsanto existing as an organization. Yes, we have got even some of the maize seeds in this country, actually, and I've seen some that are by Monsanto circulated. And in fact, there is even a warning that using other chemical components of fertilizer for plantation of these seeds could have ramifications, so a farmer is warned. The question is this, that with the presence of the 2012 regulations by NBA on labeling, why is it that all existing GMO products in this country are not labeled? Why is it that KEBS has not come out to pronounce himself on the presence and labeling of these GM products in this country? That is the greater concern. So for me, the issue is not that these products do not exist. They exist. But do we follow the law? Like, for example, earlier I cited the NBA Act 2009 that provides that upon importation of every commodity that is genetically modified, they are supposed to be stored at the port of entry for a period of 90 to 150 days for purposes of risk assessment and checking the standards and the levels that are acceptable in this country. Now, Honorable Moses Kuria indicated that already by yesterday, we must have had a ship docking with about 10 million bags of maize. Whether that maize is genetically modified or not has not been made clear. Now, if at all any of the products docking at the port of Mombasa is genetically modified, some of the maize, is it possible, is it true that laws and policies will be followed that such commodities will stay at the port for about 3 months or even 5 for purposes of risk assessment by the National Biosafety Authority?
Of course not.
These are the things that we need to actually embrace, because if at all we have to live by the rule of law, then the rule of law has to be pursued to the latter.
JAVAS, the rule of law is good. But in Kenya, I read a book by a guy called John Mason. John Mason in his book says, learn all the rules and break each rule individually, systematically. In Kenya, we have rules, yes, and regulations and laws, but we have become specialists of learning those rules and breaking them so as to survive. What is going on right now? We don't have even a bill in Parliament. We don't even have, in fact, Parliament has not approved the importation of maize that has already docked in Mombasa. It's supposed to go through Parliament. All these things you are talking about have first of all to go through Parliament. And Parliament must approve and come up with laws and bills that will guide how we consume the GMOs. But that is not happening. And now let me tell you this. And that is why this issue of winner takes it all is still a big problem in this country. When we have got a majority parliament, you can actually push your way through any parliament. If the cabinet has agreed, and the cabinet has agreed this is what we want, and they take it to parliament and tell the person in parliament who is one of them, the person in parliament and the majority of the members of parliament are in Kenya Kwanza. All they need to be told is to be whipped into position and told we are going to eat GMOs whether you like it or not. So once they have been told it is time to eat GMOs, these politicians in our parliament, being Kenyans like you and I, are not going to reason the way you are reasoning. They will reason with the appointing authority, with the hand that feeds them, the side which their bread is buttered. That is how we reason in Kenya. In Kenya, we don't have people or leaders who can come out and oppose a situation or stand with the truth individually. That is the problem.
Kenyans must not swallow matters genetically modified commodities hook, line, and sinker. And yes, I agree with you, Mr. Kanyalabandu, when you say that the people's representatives in parliament will swallow without chewing any directive that is coming from the House on the Hill.
Yes.
Question is, are we having representatives that can think and represent the people as thought leaders? From the perspective of the office of the Prime Cabinet Secretary, that where you sit as
Where
well.
AMUNGA sits.
Yes. You see, that office is for thought leadership, policy leadership, and legislative coordination. I would want to ask myself, since the cabinet approval of the lifting of the GMO ban that was initially made in 2012 by the Kibaki administration, lifted now 10 years later. Question is, does the office of the Prime Cabinet Secretary appreciate that the existence of the National Biosafety Act 2009 alone is sufficient to guide matters to do the GMOs in this country? The answer is no.
The answer is yes. The answer is yes.
No.
They appreciate, they are aware. In fact, if you have been watching the Prime Cabinet Secretary, he has been meeting with ambassadors from all these countries. Actually, what's happening behind the scenes, Musalia may not be a person who comes out to say everything everywhere. Actually, behind the scenes, if you go to Musalia Mudavadi's office, we have been having the ambassador from Austria. We have had the ambassador from Korea. From all these ambassadors, why they are coming in, and scientists. A lot of scientists are visiting that place. The reason is they are talking about the policies, the safety, and the direction to take when it comes to GMOs. The issue I want to bring across is this. Not everything that we read in the newspapers is really what's happening. There are a lot of things that are happening behind the scenes. In this country, a lot of things happen. Right now, there is the talk about GMOs is being discussed at very high levels. Moses Kuria made a mistake. When he said those words very openly and with a lot of madarao, that was wrong. And I was hoping he'll apologize. Of course, he has not. But when it comes to leaders in this country, we saw people like Alfred Keter. Alianguka kura. Do you know why he lost the election? The problem in this country and in many other countries, and African countries especially, a leader who stands by the truth, who is a sacrificial leader, is a person who is going to be sacrificed. Alfred Keter could not survive the political wave, because every time he was going against the grain. I've seen now Didmas Baraza coming from Bungoma. He's now also joining that group. I'm seeing Samson Cheralgei, the Nandi senator. I'm seeing him nowadays also talking like that. Let me assure you on this table, if Cheralgei continues the way he's going, that's the end of him in this parliament.
The way on this table this morning,
Joshua Kitui went is the same way these fellows will go. Now, the problem is the politics. We must get our politics right in this country. Before we get our politics right, when the hustler nation comes up and says, we will see border and Mama Mboga be given positions, and we see it happening, the day a person will stand up and say, we shall see 30% of our cabinet will be women, 50% will be women, and actually look at it and we see women in position. When we see a leader stand up there and say that this is what we're going to do when we get into position, hustler fund will be like this, and it goes exactly the way he said, and he doesn't turn around, then that's the day we'll know our politics has changed. As of now, Kenyans, we are just still there. We are still playing those circles of
for me, it's interesting that as we are speaking this moment, I think the president with his entourage are in Seoul, South Korea. And part of the president's delegation includes Honorable Moses Kuria, the CS for Trade and Industry. We have got the CS for Agriculture as well, Honorable Mithika Linturi.
Yes.
They have all traveled at a time when Kenyans are concerned and curious about genetically modified commodities in this country. To whom have they left the discussion and coordination and the assuaging the agony of Kenyans about the consequential health effects of the GMOs? Because let's face it,
office, there's an office here.
Beyond the regulations,
the second and third in command.
Yes. But you see, look, are we seeing any reasonable, sound national conversations yet, except press conferences? For example, when you look at it from the global perspective, we have got the World Bank, the World Trade Organization agreements. For example, there's the sanitary and phytosanitary agreements on safety issues to do with genetically modified commodities. We have got the general agreements on tariffs and trade, abbreviated as GATT, on matters to do with biotechnology. And all these are very instrumental in guiding any country, especially Kenya as a member, on the issues to do with biotechnology and biosafety mechanisms. Now, in the absence of even government officials, speaking to the soundness of these general agreements by the World Trade Organization, by the Cartagena Protocol, and even our own policies and legislation, then are we saying that we value a politics that is thoughtless, and with that thoughtlessness is anathema to the national, not just consciousness, but progress as well?
JAVAS, in this country, those papers, we started with the secession of paper number 10 in 1965. It did nothing to us.
Tom Mboya, yes.
Yes, Tom Mboya was a great man like you, a young man that time like you, thinking the way you are thinking, coming up with good narratives like those. They don't work in Kenya.
Are you saying his thoughts are useless?
He's a great man like this one. Now the issue,
But the thing is, even as we move forward from that conversation, I think it's already 9 a.m. As we move forward from that GMO conversation, I think my biggest worry is that the people who are prosecuting such a conversation that is key, that affects the health of Kenyans and the livelihood of Kenyans are politicians, not the scientists that we trust with research, nor the Ministry of Health, Nakumicha comes from, Munga's person, nor the Minister of Agriculture, who has not even said a word. The whole thing falls under him. The people prosecuting these conversations are politicians, and some of us here who might not know much about technology apart from what we read, about biotechnology apart from what we read. That's my biggest worry. When are we going to have people having a serious discourse? When you have someone like AMUNGA who comes in and suggests that there could be some kind of disagreement within cabinet, that the leadership sits, then it leaves you wondering then what happens with the wananchi? If there's a disconnect in agreement in what the country, such a national policy can be decided on, then it leaves you wondering, okay, all right, in whose hands are we safe? But anyway, quickly moving forward from that, I don't know if you've heard about Monocluster. Monocluster is giving an opportunity to ensure that you can purchase your products online, hassle-free. Click it and have it. And we're running a promotion. The Monocluster is running a promotion on electronics. We're running a promotion on electronics this week. We look at Oppo A76, which was 32,000 Kenyan shillings. Now it is 26,300 Kenyan shillings. And what's the best thing about Monocluster is you pay upon delivery. When you order for your product, you don't have to send your money faster. There's been a lot of con men in Nairobi. Mtu anakuambia niko na simu kabisa. Unasema rangi gani? Yellow. Unasema hata niko na yellow 5. Sawa. Tuma pesa na kutumanisha. With Monocluster, you click on the website, you make your order, and you pay on delivery. When you've seen the phone and you've seen whatever you've ordered, an electronic or even maybe clothes, kama ukisha shika kwa mkono, and you can confirm that it is actually working. That's when you can make your payments. You pay after delivery. Then at the Oppo Reno 7 4G, it was 43,800 Kenya shillings. Now it's only 39,800 Kenya shillings. This can only happen at Monocluster. Let's click www.monocluster.com and get to make your order. Make your order, alafu nailetewa haraka upesi. Within 1 hour, you have your delivery if it is within the vicinity that you are having. If you are outside, Nairobi, and then we can arrange delivery within 12 hours maximum. That is it. Click monocluster.com and get to make your order, or download your Monocluster app from Google Play and also iStore. Is it iOS or iStore? Well, out to iPhone. All right. That's it. Please make your order from Monocluster, a wide range of products that we have right there, quality products for your needs. Shiro tuned in. Asante Daniel Kori, good morning. Gerald, good morning to you. Steve Touch, my guy. Kitom Kandara, what tuned in. Munga Lita continue all day from Coventry, United Kingdom. Good morning. Steve Vai following. Asbel Kimba following the show. Asante sana. Daniel Kori, IAE Alders, a principal secretary, is not cabinet secretary, kindly. All right. Lekale Bor. NC and Fort Kenya are testing waters. Kennedy Lagarde. Morning, Gerald, live from Nanyuki. In fact, the 30% should have been given to Fort Kenya, not ANC, as he claims. All right, keep talking, Victor. Morning. The hunters are being punished after successful hunt by policies, such as importation of maize and donations of wheat. Yet it's harvesting season. Hii mambo ni ngumu sana. And also in other news, you remember we were told that the economy is performing very badly because of the war in Ukraine and Russia. Now, Ukraine has given us wheat donation yesterday. The Lord is good. James Wanjiru, I believe Western already has the third and the fourth in command in this government. Okay. You did It makes Daniel Lundat following and Jared Atsaya Muluya. As long as it's given Ogali, even with soup, we'll support you. The end. Watch a DVD and retire it for the next 5 years. I think that's in bad taste. But you're gonna see us. Moses should also be careful for with his reckless talks. If someone is sending or advising him to take such actions, then he's simply being set up for an impeachment. Politics is a game. Kabon Sarah Gerald, we should differentiate between a leader and a politician. In Kenya, we only have politicians, and also the people of Kenya Kwanza are still in denial. They're in power and they are still doing politics, and already they have started 2027 politics. God see Kenyans through these hard times. Just at and in fact, they have literally forgotten about the collapsed pan paper mills, Mumias and Zoya Sugar. They only remember them in 2027 February. Wow, okay. Okay, I understand that Mumias has already been revived. That is by James Wanjiru, but Mumias has already been revived. I saw the sugar posted by Halwale. And Mumias is already back. Julius Tuwe, lawyers keep on complaining. Why? Okay. Okay, I'm trying to get a useful comment right here. How can you hide maize well? Okay, Abbas Niguna, let's not bury our heads in the sand. The top government officials are aware of what's going on, including the importation of GMO maize. Now you expect them to start making noise against it. All right, that's Kamebu. The GMO discussion has become a sensational issue. The focus now more on the meat. One might think that Americans and Canadians eat poison every day. I beg to differ. And what we hear from you, ask Kamebur. You can call in 0779-800-010 or 779-800-010. It would be interesting to get a perspective of someone who is consuming GMO. Mi hata misi, yosa si tunakulanga tu, tujuangi kama ni GMO, MGO, ama nini. Anything that comes na imekuwa fried, and we can see it was alive. Hata tulizangi kichwa iko wapi, sasa zingine tunakula punda na kuru. Mambo ni mengi. Bas Njuguna, the only correctly labeled consumer products in Kenya are cigarettes. Cigarette smoking is harmful to health, but we still smoke anyway. Yeah, but Kenyans need to be given the right information. We have demonized GMOs so much. Modification of products, especially on maize, is to the extent of pest and drought-resistant making, such as products superior compared to non-GMO products. Rafas Mwangi, I think Ruda government has touched the Ruda government aside the art of maize cartels, and it's shocking how cartels use common wananchi to argue their case. Eskamura agrees, it's more an issue of resistance to change and science. Climate change is real good, people. Time to think outside the box. Joel Arama, Chairman, GMO issue is to me not about the science, but more about the standards of imports. Remember, aflatoxin, sugar, and others, right? And that is where we pick it from. I'm saying Chairman Arama is already on the line. Just hold on, Arama. Just hold on a little bit. I'm trying to get you. Please have your headphones on, gentlemen. Listen to Arama. Mambo iko hapa kidogo, atuambie juu ya amekaa Marekani. Mimi ile America nimeenda ni United States of Lego. All right. Good morning to you, Chairman. Nakalanya bandu.
Hey, good morning, Gerald.
How are you?
Yeah, it's been a while.
It's been a while, sir. Unajua mambo yetu inapitana, wewe uko Thursday, mimi niko siku zingine. What is long since we had a conversation?
But I've been listening in. Sometimes I want to call in, like when you were talking with Ekuro last week. Ulimaliza show bila kufungua laini, so then I was like, it was great, so I didn't even want to interrupt.
Paul, mambo ilikuwa mengi,
but anyway, yeah, it was really good. I enjoyed it. Coming to today's, I listened a little bit. I was doing some other stuff. I caught up with a little bit of discussion near AMUNGA and his friend waki complain about Mudavadi. So are we talking about regional? Or are we talking about the whole country? Personally, I don't care where the cabinet secretary comes from, as long as he delivers for the country.
Okay.
But if you're going to deliver for a specific group, supposedly, then we are in trouble. And surprisingly, everybody should be aware at this point is, quote unquote, the people who think they are the so-called opposition or Azimio or whatever, you're buying the price of the same. Kama ni GMO, mutakula nyinyi wote tu, like Moses Kuri alisema, mutakufa tu pamoja. I mean, he put it bluntly, he needs to practice on.
Okay. So you consume GMO, whatever you.
Oh, yeah. We eat, unakula kuku hapa imemea na siku mbili. Yeah, siku tatu.
Akiana, hiyo naye siwezi kula. Kusema tu kweli. Yaani kifaranga nimeona jana ikitagewa alafu kesho inakulwa, hapana. Siko hapo.
Unakula. By the way, Gerald, we even have meat that is produced from a plant.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's there. And people consume it. The problem is standards. How do you make sure that this food actually does not have, like most security was saying, is not going to kill you? Okay. Yeah, people are forgetting very quickly, and we are very quick to forget issues. Like I've said before, Kenyans, we are very good in chasing shiny objects. We have the shiny object syndrome. We forget everything else. We were here before. Remember the issue of the sugar and aflatoxin, poison
mercury,
and everything else?
Mercury.
Everybody forgot. Mercury and all those things. Everybody forgot about it. The issue is, how do we make sure that the food that is being brought, GMO, whatever you want to call it, is actually safe?
Okay.
Yeah? I remember growing up when we had, my age, but I will just say it anyway. I remember we had a serious hunger in Kenya, alafu tukaletewa mahindi ya yellow. But the rumor was, hii mahindi ni ya farasi, si ya mwanadamu. And people hated the yellow maize.
Yeah, I did too.
But actually it was better than the white. But because of it and how information is being delivered to you, that's where we have a problem. The government can deliver that information in the right way. Their timing, granted, their timing is off. I mean, hiyo timing yao saizi ni mbaya, they are going to get a lot of flack and a lot of challenges. So you can't import food now. Hii chakula ilikuwa inahitajika 3 months ago. Saizi watu wameanza kuhaka, then it brings a different dynamic. So those are the things we have to protect our own people. I can tell you, Gerald, ukikuja in this country or any other country, Europe or anywhere else, you cannot come in with a fruit. You cannot come in with anything that is a living organism. Everything, hata mboga tunaleta kutoka nyumbani, it's dried, completely dried. You cannot bring something that can grow to another country. It's prohibited. But I'm sure in Kenya, mtu anaweza kuja na ndizi live na apite naye airport na hakuna mtu atamuuliza ataingia naye in the country. You don't know where that soil is coming from. You don't know what microorganism it has. You don't know what diseases it is bringing. And then it comes and destroys the whole banana plantation or whatever strains you have. You have no idea. The problem is we need to guard our country from all this. If you put the beggars in place, then okay. Then people have you can decide kukula hiyo GMO ama ukule mahindi ya kutoka Eldoret kwetu Molo or Kisii or wherever. You have a choice. My biggest concern and Gerald, and I have seen this, the rate of cancer issues in Kenya has risen drastically. And all this can be traced to food. You look at it anywhere, you will see it is traced to food. That is where our problem is. If we make sure the standards, and this goes back to our MPs and the senators and everybody else.
So do you think we have the standard then to monitor the quality of GMOs if we cannot monitor the quality of what we have now? Because we are talking about us consuming aflatoxins, consuming mercury. And can you imagine now with GMOs? You have to check the soils, you have to check the pesticides, all these other crazy things. Do we then have the capacity to do that? Do you think we are ready for GMOs?
Yeah. No, Gerald, the simple process is the penalties. When you put penalties to the extent that mtu anaangalia the cost analysis kwamba nikileta hii ile pesa nitapata, but the penalties I'm going to incur, it's not worth to take that risk. You know, when we talk about countries in Asia where they talk about corruption, some of those countries, if you are caught with corruption, people you are killed. Ukienda Japan, wewe wanakwambia wewe boss, wewe jikata tu matumbo yako utoe nje, you die honorably. We have to make it high risk for you to try to venture in that and make people do honest business. The problem is we are so used to cutting corners, we don't even remember those corners are going to affect you directly or indirectly. You know, take an example, even take the road issue, barabarani, overtake magari of your own. You don't know if it's your brother or your sister or your cousin in the other car, and then you hit the car, you kill people, and then unatumia text unaambia ati so and so has died, tunachanga. Ukiangalia alikufia wapi kwa hii accident, and you are the one driving the car that killed your own family member. We have to start looking that way, that whatever I'm doing right now, if it's the wrong thing, is going to affect people I know. If we take that approach, then we'll have a better country. But as long as we think about ourselves and my own kakuna hapa mahali watu naona, or even myself, then we are always going to run into trouble. That's where our problem is.
Okay, all right. Asante sana Chairman Jalarama. Namesema tutakula kuku ya siku mbili. Hey, okay. I think we'll continue these conversations again tomorrow on the Diaspora edition, as the diasporans also give us their take. Ask Mebu from Australia, I think. Is it America? Anasema kama ni Canada. Anasema kila siku wao wanakula GM1. She is still alive here. She's still alive and kicking. She's always joining us here on the tackle. So hey, mimi kuku ya siku mbili sasa kudanganya nitakula. Hata kalenya banda hapa na huyu mlia mwenzangu, I'm sure you cannot take a chicken that grew in 2 days. All right, asante sana Chairman, unless you still have something to add on.
Okay, thank you.
Aye, asante. All right, Chairman Jalarama from America. Remember, you can call in 779-800-010, 779-800-010. In other news, the Internal Security Minister, Kithure Kindiki, has given a shoot-to-kill order on majambas. Amesema hiyo bunduki na risasi ni ya kudeal na wezi. This is amidst the rise of mob justice. You've seen a lot of 15 people already across the country have been killed or burned alive. I saw some guys on Parklands, wezi wa pikipiki, thieves on wheels. They were burned alive in Parklands, in an interesting scene. They were burning as they're trying to rescue themselves from the fire. I don't know, what do you guys make of this? Should we shoot criminals on sight? JAVAS.
Well, in Kenya, we have got the Bill of Rights that protects people from various and in various ways. For example, within Kenya's Bill of Rights, we have got the classification of derogable and non-derogable rights. Those rights that cannot be taken away or are not limited except by special circumstances that are reasonably so and within the perceived gamut of law. Now, the issue of the shoot to kill should be contextualized from the pronouncements of the CS for Interior, Honorable Kithure Kindiki. That, remember, as we look at the issue of the bandits, the issue of the muggers, the issue of the thieves, burglary, etc., the Constitution as well provides the right to fair trial. It would be important for government to have a mechanism of apprehending all these suspects and culprits. Let them be arraigned in court and the cause of natural justice to be pursued.
What if in a position, in a place where this criminal is a threat?
But you see, if it's a question of live fire where there is a crossfire, that is very different. When it's a question of bandits opening fire at police officers, the police officers have got a right to protect and defend themselves and defend the property of other citizens in this country. Remember that when you look at the Constitution of Kenya 2010, when you look at the NIS Act, when you look at the National Police Service Act, when you look at their responsibilities and mandate, one of them is to protect the rights, the lives, property of Kenyans, as well as the restoration of law and order. And so I am not speaking in protection or apparent protection of thugs and thieves. Nope. In fact, they must be stopped in their tracks. The issue is it possible to have them apprehended, pursued and apprehended in circumstances where they are not opening fire? If they're opening fire, then they will have to be stopped by the copper.
AMUNGA, what are your thoughts?
Yeah,
Because it's coming at the backdrop where also the police officers are saying they cannot come out to risk their lives, you know?
Yeah, but that's what we were talking about earlier in terms of the rule of law. That's what JAVAS was saying here about can we be a country that upholds the rule of law? And I came in to say that the problem with upholding the rule of law in such a country, politics comes into play. Kithure Kindiki must appear that he's working. He must be seen to be working. He must make statements. He's even being compared, if you go to social media, he's being compared with Matiang'i. They're trying to say This person has a soprano voice. He cannot scare away the criminals. He has a problem. He cannot compare with Matiang'i. And so to up his game, he must make some statements. Most of these statements are political because there's no professionalism in saying that we must shoot to kill thugs or thieves for that matter. Because in the process, we are contradicting ourselves as a country, as a government. We already have been saying that we are seeing excessive use of police force. We are even thinking of changing names of the police from police force, now we are calling it police service. Yet again, we are now saying we use force, we use violence. Then it beats the logic, it beats what we were talking about. During the campaigns for Kenya Kwanza, Rigathi Gachagua told us that police will be escorting us home, even when they find us on the road drunk.
When them they escort criminals home.
They were to escort us home. Instead, we go to bombers of Kenya. They are nowadays giving us alcohol blow. They are even worse than it was before.
You're lucky. You test these days.
No, okay, let me finish. So at the end of the day, our listeners, is the politics will always come into play. And I wanted to say this point earlier, that the people we give these positions in our political leadership, for example, in the cabinet ministries, we don't give them as per their profession. I keep talking about the education ministry, which I happen to have a bias with. That all the years that I've been alive in this country, never have I seen a teacher, a person trained with me in Kenyatta University or somewhere, to be a teacher, qualified teacher, being given the job of being a cabinet secretary for education. Even when we have been talking about GMOs and health, and JAVAS was wondering how come the CS for health and the CS for agriculture are yet to say anything. They are not, some of them are not qualified in terms of issues to do with health. They are there because of their political loyalty. They are there to pay a political debt.
Which you are saying we reward.
To pay a political equation, to meet a political equation. Nakumicha is not a doctor. I know her, she's my friend. Nakumicha is not a doctor. But right now, she's the Minister of Health. Kithika Kinturi may know something about Mira, but I don't think he went to Egerton University to study anything to do with agriculture. He is there to meet a political equation. So the day we will start thinking as a country that, and you know, that's the people who conceived our constitution. That's what they had in mind. That our CSS will be people who are technical, who are professionals in whatever they're offering when they're being selected. We saw the other day a PS who is a professor, Professor Margaret Kobia, handing over to somebody who had told us very clearly that she didn't get even, she got a D minus. A professor now handing over to a person who got a D. Why? They are meeting a political equation. So we don't blame people like Ntuke Kinturi. We can't blame people like Moses Kuria. They are doing what they were born to do, which is to play politics. And the problem with the politics is what Moi now told us. Siasa mbaya, maisha mbaya. Now what we're going through is that.
Okay. It's interesting. 1 minute, Amunga wants people to be rewarded for being loyal politically. The next minute, he has a problem with those not being rewarded.
Actually, it's not
but that is politics.
It's all about politics.
So you're also a politician.
Yes, but you know what I'm also trying to say. Let me put it this way also. We have professionals from those areas. It's not that we don't have doctors who are also in Kenya Kwanza, in Trans Nzoia, or in Bungoma. We have people like JAVAS BIGAMBO here, experts in governance, who also can fit in those positions. I was not talking about the political loyalty. I'm talking about regional balancing, the face of Kenya, when it comes to political appointments, the face of Kenya. Kenyans, even if you go to Turkana, we have got doctors, we have got professionals. If you go to the coast, we have professionals. The only problem is that politics takes the center stage.
Politics, that's the center stage. This from Amunga Akalanya Bandu. Sema, yes, to our pay, let's reward them, but let's bring professionals. It'll be interesting to see how things shape up as well as we move forward. Now, there's an issue that is coming up, collapsing of buildings. There's a building that collapsed the other day in Kiambu. We did one in Ruaka. You're talking about, is it an issue of, is it a problem with policy? Is it a government issue? Is it an issue with contractors? What's going on? What is the problem?
The problem is everywhere, Bitok. Everywhere. Now, as a matter of fact, for any commercial construction of any entity in this country, we know that it is laid down in law. We have got the National Construction Authority on matters of regulation, of matters to do with the standardization of mechanisms and to do with the construction, as well as structural approvals and various payments even to the county governments. As a matter of fact, before a building is constructed, we have got the architect who was behind it, who drew it. We have got the quantity surveyor. We have got as well the engineer at the site of the construction. When a building is collapsing, endangering lives, killing other people, question arises. Beyond the pursuit of the owner of the building, the owner of the property, for prosecution, investigation and prosecution, of all these buildings that have collapsed in the recent past, and even in the distant past, the question that is hanging on my mental sky is this. Has the engineers and the Architectural Society of Kenya come together to investigate and see if some of their members have been culpable? For example, if an engineer and any commercial building, you will see the display of who is the quantity surveyor, who is the architect, who is the engineer, structural engineer, and who is the client. And who is the client. The issue should not be just the pursuit of the client alone. The Engineer Society of Kenya should demonstrate to us that it has registered and taken critical action on their engineers recorded on site that did not take critical action to ensure that there is professionalism in the construction of a particular residential or commercial building. It is very important. As well, the county government, for example, of Nairobi, of Kiambu, we've seen that the Ruiru building that has collapsed, we have seen the building in Nairobi County, and I've heard Governor Sakaja speak quite eloquently about the now measures they're going to put in place, and even some of the county officials that have been sacked because of the culpability or because of the responsibility, supervisory and leadership on matters to do with the construction sites. We need to move beyond that. And the National Construction Authority as well should demonstrate that beyond the issue of the recommendation that they always give or make to the county government, for example, about the suitability or lack of a particular a site on matters of standardization, we need to see proactivity on the part of the National Construction Authority. But beyond that, I think there is the doctrine of volenti non fit injuria, the consenting to such kind of risks as well. I think that laborers at such sites should ask themselves that when they are taking up some of these responsibilities, even the supervisors, that have standards been met and are they being met? Because some of the owners want to reduce costs by buying substandard materials. Upon appreciation of the rights of the workers and the laborers, they should ask the supervisors at the site whether actually the various standards, whether it's a question of the mixing, the ratio, etc., the quality of materials as provided for by the quantity surveyor, etc., those things are very crucial because beyond the owners and the various authorities taking critical steps about protection of the lives and protection of the sites and ensuring that the standards, the people working at those sites as well should ensure that they are demonstrating their willingness to protect their own lives.
Okay. AMUNGA. Yes.
Go.
JAVAS, that's the same thing we talked about. We were talking about law. Who is in charge? Who is in charge of all these things? Who takes responsibility? Can we take responsibility of every action? And it's not just in the building sector. These mistakes and calamities that we are seeing around, the building sector is physical. We can see it very quickly to the naked eye. But these things also happen even in our hospitals. Some of our doctors are making these very negligent mistakes. We are losing lives in our hospitals because of negligence. The issue here is that negligence. And I took time recently to visit just a hospital in Kakamega. And the shock that you can go through, the professionals that we have, JAVAS, the problem, I've been blaming the politicians, but I tend to think also, we as professionals again, we have the biggest problem. You find out that you are a doctor in charge of a place like Kakamega or MTRH, and you are working in a place whereby there is no single tablet. So who is supervising? Whom do you blame? Why are you there in the first place in that hospital as a doctor when there is no aspirin? There's nothing. Gloves, you have to send the patient to go and buy gloves to bring for you to wear when you are operating or doing anything on that patient. The problem that you're talking about in the building sector, if you can't blame the workers there again, these people have to eat. They are there looking how to make a living. So when they are there and somebody brings for them substandard things, it's the same thing you also see in hospitals, whereby we are treating our patients with substandard goods, with substandard drugs. Go to the education sector. And I want to put it here on this table very openly. Very little learning is going on in those schools that are congested. I have been a teacher. I go to those classrooms. I know them. I cannot teach or deliver proper delivery as a teacher in a class of 120 children seated before me. I can't mark, I can't do all those things. You can't blame me and ask me, Mr. Amunga, why are you not in class? Why are you not telling the government? I tell them so that they do what? So at the end of the day, we are working with what we have. Those people in the construction industry are working with what they have because they have to. If they say no, they lose their jobs. If Mr. Amunga tells the government, I can't teach 120 students in a class, I will lose my job. So what do? I'll be there to be seen and earn a salary. It's an unfortunate saying.
It's always a pleasure to have you guys. Gentlemen, your tackles of the day. Start with you.
Well, first, I appreciate being here with my very great friend, AMUNGA Kanyelabandu, who is a celebrated thespian. And today he has dramatized his position on matters politics, on matters policy, etc. But I think we are converging at every aspect of this thinking that as a country we need to move forward, that even as politics is played, we need to have a government that appreciates the issue of politics, that policies that make sense to the people, laws that make sense to the people. But beyond that, the issue of self-interest should not be put at the head of everything that puts the lives of Kenyans at risk. And this is specific to matters GMOs, etc. Let us open up a national conversation. People should not be forced to swallow matters that they don't understand. Hook, line, and sinker.
Thank you. Sante sana, JAVAS.
Yes,
finally now I know.
Yes, I'm also very happy to have been here today again. The tackle is a great platform.
Thank you so much.
And especially when we have such panelists. I always pray. My family watches, and you know that.
I know. Hapo family yako.
They are members of this.
Mungu atakuja atupe shamba ndakauya familia yako shamba ya takwali.
But I want to finish by saying hiyo madharau tulikuwa tunaona kwa Jubilee government, we don't want to see it again in the Kenya Kwanza government. I think
you're very traumatized.
We want respect, and we are demanding respect for leaders from the Western Province. Okay. As I started by saying, they sacrificed to put the bread or to bring to put breakfast on the table of Kenya Kwanza. We want to see the revival of those key critical industries in Western Province. And then I want to end by saying the hustlers are watching. The mamambogas are still watching. They will be very bad to us if we don't deliver what we promised them. If we, including me, AMUNGA, who was on such media every day talking about Kenya Kwanza, bottom up, hustler,
Mamamboga.
If in the next 2-3 months, Mr. President and your government and the Prime Minister, you guys are seen not to be towing the line, I cannot tell you, even me, it will be hard for me to walk in the streets of Nairobi because Kenyans will want to see action or blood. And what I mean by blood is they'll want to see action taken. They'll want to see something happen in this country. So Mama Bogas are watching, JAVAS, and if you are reading social media, they're getting restless. Let us do something.
All right. Don't you also think it's too early to be fighting?
There's nothing too early. President
Ama mapema ndio best.
Kibaki never talked about at your inheritance or whatever. He started working day one. In the next 2 weeks, less than 100 days, we saw things happen. Even my first mobile phone, I bought immediately, a good one, immediately after Mwai Kibaki took over. It was not about days or whatever. The only person who delayed us and made Mwai Kibaki go back was Nusu Mkate. We are hoping this time. We don't want excuses. Mama Mboga wants to see things happening.
All right. That's it from Peter Amunga Akanyala Bandu. JAVAS BIGAMBO. I don't know what you guys think. Is it too early? Is it too early to be like the way the government is going? Ama vile Amunga amesema ukiingia kazi unachapa kazi, ulizi eti ilikuwa vipi. In other news, our good brother Alfred Mutua is minister for, is it foreign affairs? Yes. Is in South Korea. And it's a statement that has caused a serious ruckus online as well. I don't know what you guys will think. I'll read it out for you. Quote in quote, why would you leave South Korea with a good job and go back to Kenya? Where will you find employment? Question number 2. The economy is on a slowdown. There's hardly any employment in Kenya, but we are going to build the economy with your support. I want us to get more money from the diaspora coming home. JAVAS.
Well, I think first.
Can I read it again, or you got it?
No, I did. I think it is interesting that high-ranking government officials would speak in a manner to dissuade Kenyan citizens who are out there from coming home to try and impact various aspects of the economy through their professional enterprises.
Or even that money that they want to invest. What if they're saying, why should I invest my money in the economy?
Exactly. So I think as Foreign Affairs Cabinet Secretary, Dr. Alfred Mutua is diplomat number 1. And a diplomat does not take a message of discouragement or fire. He is, in fact, a person that is polished in persuasion. So which means he's trying to demonstrate that he's persuading them quite eloquently not to come because the situation is dire here in Kenya. I want to imagine that he misspoke. Of course, every politician will always say that they were misquoted.
He's not a politician.
Yes.
He's supposed to have shaded that image of being a politician.
So, as a matter of fact, I expect a better sentiment of the CS for in Foreign Affairs, Alfred Mutua, on such a situation. In fact, he should know that anytime he speaks beyond affecting and influencing policy, that the entire country and the entire world is watching and they will latch onto their every word. And so I think as the ambassador number 1 for Kenya, diplomat number 1, he should try to paint a picture of a rosy place that home is. But beyond that, do much more in the spirit of collective responsibility to make Kenya better, not a place that people should run away from. He should not scare Kenyans from coming to Kenya who are out there, and he should not make it appear as though Kenyans who are here are in a combustion chamber or in a death trap.
I'm shocked beyond words. I'm not even able to speak. Yeah. But it just confirms what I've just been saying here. The problem with this current cabinet is too much politics, too much politicking. In fact, almost every cabinet minister we are having cabinet secretary has come back to retract their statements. Almost all of them, except Musalia Mudavadi. The rest of them all have come back. Moses Kuria.
Maybe the thing is he has not spoken. So maybe he has spoken already.
You have to read your words. The only words Musalia spoke was, can we stop blaming people right now and start working? The problem with people like Alfred Mutua, Aisha Jumwa, all of them is that they were politicians first before they became ministers.
Okay, I don't know what you guys think on that statement by Alfred Mutua, that is the CS for Foreign Affairs. I don't know what you make of that, but yes, that's where we are. This has been the CS Wednesday edition of the 23rd of November 2022, and we've been with JAVAS BIGAMBO and also with Peter Amunga Akanyala. For the first time now, I can finally call his name. I've been struggling with it for a very long time. The JAVAS has made it easy now.
Now it's very well.
Now it's Akanyala Band. All right. As I want to remind you about Monio Cluster. Monio Cluster is giving you an opportunity to order for anything that you need. Technology is moving. I don't know when is the last time you visited a shop, JAVAS. When is the last time you visited a physical shop to buy something?
Well, it's been a while. A number of times, of course, people do online shopping, which has been made easier. And with the issue of the people that are willing to run errands and do deliveries, it's even expedited and reduced the cost on the part of the purchaser to get to procure some commodities. So I think I celebrate the place of technology. And that's why I even say that when we look at the positive side of technology, even in the matters of GMCs, it is very important that can be helpful in terms of making life better. With technology, we got to have aeroplanes that have dwarfed distances between continents and between places that people would travel, whether it's a question of even using speed trains, etc., or bullet trains, etc. So it's important that, even on GMOs, I would say, that while GMOs may still be embraced or had here, the issue is the quality, standardization, and specificity when it comes to labeling. So when it comes to procuring products from the shops, I think I would say that thanks to technology, I have reduced my errands or my travel to the shops presently because of embracing technology.
What is the last time you visited a physical shop to buy something? Akanyalaban.
I was in Wisero, and there we go to the shops.
Okay. When you're in Nairobi, how often do you use online platforms?
Yeah, quite often. I'm learning to use it through my wife.
She's sharper than me.
She's sharper than me.
All right, so it was a good Black Friday. Audio Cluster is giving amazing offers on electronics and also clothing, anything that you want, whether from TV to phones and everything else. You can get it from Audio Cluster. Go to www.moniocluster.com and get to order anything that you need. And we have running offers in phones. For instance, Oppo Reno 7 4G, which was 43,800, now going for only 39,800 Kenyan shillings from Monio Cluster. It's 256 GB. That's a random operating memory, that's ROM, and 8 GB, I think should be 128 GB on RAM, 6 GB RAM. All right. We have also what is running. We have Oppo A76, which was 32,000, now it's 26,000. That is it on Monio Cluster. Please go to open your browser, go to www.moniocluster.com and get to check out the range of products that are available right there. Beautiful wide range of products. Or you can download the app on your Google Store or your Play Store. Monio Cluster, get your app from the App Store and get to access amazing products at amazing prices. And it's already telling you that you can only pay on delivery. Come check out the thing that you're buying, whatever you're purchasing. Ukifurahia basi unaweza kuilipia. The whole short delivery time, and they also give you a beautiful return guarantee time. Kama uko na issue kidogo na kaja si unaweza kurudisha kwa wakati wake. Kimbia pale moniocluster.com and check out the wide range of products from kitchenware, electronics, and everything that you need for your daily home. That is it, Monio Cluster. Click it, have it. Until tomorrow, the Diaspora edition. This is the tackle, and it ends now. Bye-bye.